good, y'all? It's your man DL Saints. What up, y'all? It's, I really want to know early special edition, man. Early special edition. I'm pretty sure that this stream is going to be glitchy. It's early and people are up using their stuff. My daughter's up doing whatever she does on social media stuff, streaming stuff. She's got all her devices on. So this is probably going to be glitchy, but man, look, I just saw the news. I was up to about 5, 6 in the morning. Just couldn't sleep. And when I finally did wake up, I turned on CNN, turn on YouTube or whatever. And I'm looking at my feed, and it looks like Donald Trump got himself a little bit of trouble. He got a little bit of a problem, man. He's got himself a little bit of a problem. So we're gonna talk about it. Yo, let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Man, get something indeed, bro. This story we're about to watch. I mean, later on we'll get into the print media and stuff like that. We'll get this story some time to breathe. But we, in the short term, we're going to react to this CNN story about what's going on. And the story we're going to watch spin out for a few hours. Trump vows to sue Rupert Murdoch over Wall Street Journal's Epstein birthday letter report. Now, this Epstein stuff is deep, it's crazy. I haven't spoken about it yet, but we're talking about it now. And I did plan on really getting into it. I know Sagar from Breaking Points was on Flagrant again. And this time it was 2 hours of Sagar just breaking it down, like going the entire history of Jeffrey Epstein, going back to, I want to say, the 70s or 80s. And up until up until present. And I'm about halfway through that. And bro, so much information. And I definitely I probably wind up doing like a 2 or 3-parter, just breaking that down, giving my 2 cents on what Sagar is saying. And I guess my only complaint is, and shout out for Flagrant and Andrew Schultz for doing it. But Flagrant and Andrew Schultz, sometimes it's like, bro, they're not mature enough to have this type of conversation. But they were kind of in and out, but they do what they do. Forever 15 is what they're, sometimes like that, their mentality is stuck there. And it's not really all the dudes. It's mostly Schultzy, and then we'll get into that later. I will get into that later. But if you guys haven't seen it, you definitely want to check it out. And if you're not gonna watch it on your own, we can listen to it over here, and we can just throw our 2 cents in there, man. It is crazy, man. We got brother Dino in the building, man. Absolutely.
It'll be like,
absolutely, man. He was like, "What time is this deal?" Like, I know, bro. I'm up early, but we got to talk about this, man. This story, right? This story that's breaking right now with these allegations. I got to be honest with you, bro. I thought that Trump managed to stay clear of Epstein and everything he was doing back in the day, because you just didn't hear much about it. You know what I mean? When everything was breaking, Trump's name never really came up. When he was running for the election the first time, his name really didn't come up. So I just assumed that, Trump was probably not into little girls. He probably didn't have anything to do with this. And he probably, maybe he still didn't. You know what I mean? Then these allegations dropping about this letter, man, we just got to watch this. We got to watch this. But this whole thing with the Trump administration basically killing any investigation into the Epstein files and this and that, and just kind of trying to walk away from that, MAGA went crazy. And of course they went crazy, because MAGA is all about conspiracy theories. Now Trump is in a position where if what he was saying, what if his administration was saying was true, like there was no there, Now he's got to come up with something. They got to come up with something. They got to come up with a file. They got to come up with a list of names. They got to come up with stuff. Now, you know what I mean? So it's like, bro, what's really going on? And because MAGA is not letting this go, bro. It's like a pit bull, man, with a bone. MAGA is not letting this go. So, and now with Rupert Murdoch, man, let's get into it. Let's check this article. Let's check out what they have to say on CNN.
In the breaking news this morning, trying to relieve the pressure, a major sign that President Trump is feeling the heat of the controversy surrounding his administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case. Overnight, he authorized Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce, quote, any and all pertinent grand jury testimony related to accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Bondi immediately agreed to the president's request, which seems to undercut her own department memo that there was really nothing left to see related to the case. It could be months before anything is released, if at all, as grand jury testimony is heavily protected by law and remains subject to court approval. The testimony itself would only represent a small fraction of the material collected during the Epstein investigation. Now, the president's request, coincidentally or not, came just hours after a shocking report from the Wall Street Journal that in 2003, Donald Trump sent a personal letter to Epstein for his 50th birthday. The letter reportedly contained a hand-drawn sketch of a naked woman signed, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Now, the president has strongly, furiously, as we said, denied the existence of a letter and is now...
You know, as I'm sitting here listening to this, I've read the Trump's book, The Art of the Deal, and watching Trump over, recent times, like, going for his elections and stuff like that. And even before that, like when he was doing the TV show, it seems to me that it's not out of the realm of possibility for Donald Trump to write a letter like that with a picture of a woman or whatever as a joke and send it to him. It's like, yeah, basically, letting him know, like, bro, you're a weirdo, and you know what I mean? Hey, I hope you're able to keep the secret, because it was the worst secret in the world. Like, all of the 1%ers knew about it. That's what Saga was talking about. Like, Saga breaks it all the way down with, the information that he's been able to gather in the like the interviews he's been able to have and talking to folks, because Saga is a journalist. So it kind of, to me, I don't know, maybe Trump handled it wrong. Maybe he could have just went and said, yeah, it was a joke. I sent that letter to him because he was blah, blah, blah. But I guess he can't do that, because then it kind of admits that you knew what he was doing to these young girls. So it's one of those, yeah, he's boxed in the corner. He's boxed in, like Trump's boxed in, and he doesn't know what to do. And his reflex is to fight. Now he's going to have to continue to fight now with his base, MAGA. He's going to have to fight with MAGA over this. And like I said, MAGA ain't letting it go. Wow. That letter, Rupert Murdoch uses the Wall Street Journal to print this article, to talk about this letter. You got to believe that he just didn't make it up. He has to have something. And then he's like, okay, well, did you forensically verify that this was that Donald Trump's handwriting? Did you you know what I mean? How did bro? Wow. Let's keep watching.
Now threatening to sue the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. In the wake of all this, there is a lot going on, a lot changing over the last few hours. So let's get right to the White House. CNN's Elena Treen is there, busy to say the least. What do you see?
I mean, absolutely. And your question of whether the president asking for the attorney general to turn over some of this grand jury testimony, or to publish it, I should say, is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that it's coming after that Wall Street Journal report. The president is very angry about this. From my conversations last night, just after that story had dropped, it's very clear that what we're going to see today and some of the turning of the wheels on this Epstein case is going to be a result of that anger. Now, I just want to read for you what the president posted last night, directing his attorney general to do. He said, quote, "Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam perpetuated by the Democrats should end right now. I do want to note as well, we did see Bondi shortly after respond to that post from the president, posting herself with a picture of the president's post saying, President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcript. So this is.
I mean, that whole thing about, Trump has been saying here lately, the Democrats created this. Barack Obama made the list. Joe Biden did this. It's the Democrats. It's not working on MAGA. Normally that would be enough. And MAGA was like, oh, okay, Trump said this, so it must be true. And they just, whatever. They just go along with the Jedi mind trick thing. But this one is too sensitive. And now Trump is saying, well, I'm going to have her get all this information. Like, well, bro, you sit down the campaign trail. The reason MAGA is upset with Donald Trump is because he didn't do that. That's the whole point. You're trying to put a lid on this thing. You got the FBI pulling out files and, editing or doctoring up these files. You guys are trying to say, here's the raw footage. And then it comes out like, that ain't raw, man. This was edited. Like the world wouldn't pay attention. It really shows to me how Trump really feels, how he, his true feelings on his base. It's like they're stupid. They'll believe anything I say. And remember, Trump said that. Trump said I could go out in the middle of, Park Avenue and pop somebody in the face and get away with it, basically. And now we're coming to find out that there are limits. MAGA is not happy. And man, I don't know if Trump is going to be able to get his way out of this easily. It's going to take a lot of maneuvering. And this, you're going to have to come up with all the information you can on this Epstein file thing or whatever.
Was a huge deal particularly among a lot of the president's supporters who have been wanting exactly this. This is the President Trump that they want to see. They want to see some sort of evidence. They feel like they deserve more information as it relates to the Epstein case. Now, of course, it's very unclear what this would actually show. It's also, as you pointed out, very unclear how quickly we actually will see some of this, given, with the courts, it's probably going to be a lengthy process, despite the Attorney General saying that she's ready to move the court tomorrow, as in today, Friday, to unseal some of this. So still a lot of questions on what this will look like, but I will say this is exactly what a lot of the president's, part of his base, part of his MAGA high-profile supporters have been asking for. They believe that they have a right to see some of the evidence and hard documents in this case, not necessarily, the publishing of these so-called files, but wanting really to see what more there is. We'll see if this actually ends up kind of, quenching some of that thirst from his supporters.
And Elena, very quickly, this Wall Street Journal report that the White House and the president vigorously denies, what exactly does it say?
Yeah, so this report, just to get into it, they report on what they call a body letter from Donald Trump. Now, this was a letter that was apparently written for Epstein's 50th birthday that was put into a broader book. And they say that the letter is framed by the outline of a naked woman and says the letter concludes, happy birthday. May every day be another wonderful secret. Now, as you pointed out, the president very harshly pushing back on this. We've also seen the vice president, J.D. Vance, as well as the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, all online going hard after this post. The president wrote on Truth Social, quote, the Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. I told Rupert Murdoch it was a scam, that he shouldn't print this fake story, but he did. And now I'm going to sue his ass off, and that of his third-rate newspaper. So a lot in this.
Just more MAGA wars, It's all falling apart. People were, asking me, hey man, what do you think of MAGA? I'm like, what's the future of MAGA look like? It's like, it's going to look like the Tea Party. They're going to go the way of the Tea Party. They're going to go away, back to the fringes. I think that's what's going to happen. You have Republicans and never Trumpers who are definitely going to be getting their licks in, because Trump is definitely going to be down. I don't know if he's going to be able to get back up behind this, but he's definitely going to be down. All is leading into a midterm where Americans are unhappy and the economy is jacked and you got all kind of problems. And I think that Trump put out a Truth Social post saying that he's through executive order is going to lower interest rates to 0%. I don't. First of all, I don't even know if that's legal. I don't know if the president has that type of power. I don't know. And secondly, that's a dumb move. That's a very dumb move. you're going to destroy the economy. Like, inflation it'll be runaway inflation. The dollar will have no power, no purchasing power whatsoever. We'll see. It just shows to me that Trump is panicking. He's not quite sure what to do. Man, I wonder what Fox is talking about. We'll pull up Fox next.
And we've seen a lot of other posts as well, John, really trying to furiously dispute what the Wall Street Journal says was a letter from the president. We'll have to see where this goes, but I can tell you that people, again, here at the White House are very, very angry about this. And, you know, I think believing that they really want to go forward and suing the paper over this, John.
All right, no doubt we will hear more and hear more soon. I imagine, Elena Shreen, following a lot of developments at the White House. Thank you so much.
The president is searching for an off-ramp to the controversy over the Epstein case, which began last week when the DOJ revealed they weren't going to release any additional information. And that infuriated a lot of the president's own supporters. But the president may now be throwing them a bone, ordering Attorney General Pam Bondi to release all pertinent grand jury material from the investigation.
So now they're going into, you know, like CNN loves to cut their stuff together. So that the one we were just listening to, that isn't really recent. But let's jump over to Fox and see what they're talking about. This is what we're about to watch from Fox. Is just I think it's just a few hours old, and it's just talking about the same topic. You know, like Trump is talking about he's going to sue. Now, the thing with that, when Sagar was talking about everything with Jeffrey Epstein and his people were able to stifle a lot of stories, stop a lot of stories from being printed, like pressure a lot of reporters and journalists using the courts as a tactic to say, I'm going to sue you and this and that, and having all that money, you know, is a viable threat. And even, you know, there was some accounts of these people threatening people's lives. Like, if you do this, we're going to come and get you. So, you know, for Trump to, you know, come out right away, so I'm going to sue this guy. I'm going to sue Jeffrey Murdoch. I'm going to sue Murdoch. Sorry about that. I'm going to sue Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch. Dude got money too. I mean, he's sitting on the empire too. So, you know, now you got these two heavyweights going at it over this, and it's going to boil down to, is that letter authentic or not? Did this happen or not? Where did he get the letter from in the first place? Is there a chain of custody that leads from like Epstein's house when the feds raided to that book with all those letters falling in the hands of someone in, you know, I mean, outside of the FBI and winding up in Rupert Murdoch's possession? And then Murdoch talks to Trump about it. Like, hey, man, ask me about it. What's this? And then Trump's like, that's fake. Don't, you know, whatever, don't do anything. And Murdoch's like, I'm going to do what I want to do. This is the result of the kind of unrestricted, scorched earth, you know, political tactics that Trump has been using since he's been in politics. And people are starting to use it against him. And that's the thing, man. Like, when you go after folks, you got some new tactic or some new weapon or whatever. It's great when you first use it, but then the rest of the world adjusts. And they might take that weapon or that tactic and make it even better. Case in point, World War II, Germany, Blitzkrieg. When that came out, Lightning War, when that came out, oh my goodness, people didn't know what to do. France fell, you know, Great Britain almost fell right there were it not for the heroic events of those British citizens who came over and saved all the soldiers at Dunkirk. But man, Blitzkrieg was power. That was the thing. But by the end of the war, by 1944, Blitzkrieg didn't work. You know, like the Allies had taken it and used it in a different way. And it's like, yo, Germany got defeated. So that's the kind of thing that I see here. Like, Trump has this way of coming out, kind of changing the way Americans do politics, going hardcore, doing and saying things that the average politician didn't want to do. But now everyone else is like, all right, the gloves are off. And now Trump has to defend against these tactics, man. So let's see what they're talking about over here on Fox. And I got the wrong one up. My bad. So I have to pull up the correct screen. But Epstein files, Trump directs Bondi to release grand jury records. This is Fox Live. This is 12 hours ago as soon as I pull this thing up. Here it is. So let's listen to see what they're talking about. And, real curious to see what Hannity and Five and all those people have to say about all this. And I'm telling you, there's a huge rift.
Welcome back in Alive. Now, I'm Austin Westfall, a live look at the White House, where it's just past 10:30 in the nation's capital. All right, let's get the latest on Epstein, the situation that continues to unfold. We do know that the Wall Street Journal released some exclusive reporting today, and President Trump responding to that reporting with this on Truth Social. He says the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake. And if they print it, they'll be sued. Mr. Murdoch stated that he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. The editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Caroline Leavitt and the president and by President Trump that the letter was a fake. But Emma Tucker didn't want to hear that. Instead, they're going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story anyway. President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Mr. Murdoch shortly. The press has to learn to be truthful and not rely on sources that probably don't even exist. Trump has already beaten George Stephanopoulos, ABC, 60 Minutes, CBS, and others, and looks forward to suing and holding accountable the once great Wall Street Journal. It has truly turned out to be a disgusting and filthy rag, and writing defamatory lies like this shows their desperation to remain relevant. If there were any truth at all on the Epstein hoax as it pertains to President Trump, this information would have been revealed by Comey, Brennan, Crooked Hillary, and other radical left lunatics years ago, Trump says on Truth Social. He finishes by saying it certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for Trump to have won 3 elections. This is yet another example of fake news. The president posting all of this.
Like, dude's unhinged. He's just off the rails right now. He doesn't know what to do. He's trying to figure out his next move, and he's just blasting out this stuff. And what he's trying to do is what everyone, I guess, tries to do in these sort of situations. Well, I'm just going to muddy the water and keep my base together. But I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more times. There are always going to be a certain percentage of MAGA that will stay with Trump no matter what. I don't care if pictures came out of him, him doing the worst things ever with whoever. It doesn't matter. They're going to rock with this dude. What percentage is that? I don't know, 8%, 7%, 5%. But there's going to be a percentage of Americans that no matter what going to rock with this guy. But the rest of MAGA, as you can see, is already not happy. And at this point, I don't even think that you can bring them back. I don't think you can bring them back. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Brother Dino was telling me about, allegations of this young girl from Mar-a-Lago and this and that. And, and I was saying, oh, that woman comes forward. Dude has a problem. And he says, oh, man, she self-deleted. But may have documented all the dirt. That's great, bro. And the thing is, like, she self-deleted, so all you have is these documents that she left behind. People are going to say, well, no, that's fake. And like he's saying here, fake news. This is turning off so many voters, so many MAGA people in America. Bro, going into the midterms. The midterms are almost here, bro. Going into the midterms. They're about to take a huge hit.
On Truth Social, following it up with, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I've asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam, perpetuated by the Democrats, should end right now, the president says. Pam Bondi then responding to that, saying, President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. A lot to unpack here. Kalen Dees is here. He's with the Washington Examiner. Let's start from the beginning. Let's catch the evening audience up on everything that's happened today. What was that lengthy Truth Social post in response to? What did that bombshell Wall Street Journal report say?
Thanks for having me on, Austin. Yeah, so essentially the Wall Street Journal report was saying that there were a number of letters that were sent to Epstein related to well wishes. I believe it was around a birthday, for Epstein, and it was, including Trump as one of the people that was sending these messages out to Epstein. And Trump immediately, from the gate, said that this is fake stuff. This isn't something that I would have signed on to. There's plenty of speculation out there about, people, coming to his defense saying, was it just something that he signed, things like that. But obviously, it's not a good look if it looks like, the president before, when he wasn't the president, was sending these well wishes, even though we all know that Donald Trump disavowed Epstein eventually, whenever he began to have some ill feelings about him. So, yes, it's not a good look amid this talk, especially whenever we're seeing a lack of transparency from an administration that has vowed to release more files from the Epstein case for months and months, and to get that 2-page memo last week that said they're essentially done with the investigation and release of information. It's not necessarily a good look, although we see now that the president is going to file a lawsuit, or says he's going to file a lawsuit. So that's where it takes us now.
He is going to file a lawsuit against LiveNow's parent company. I should mention, this is what Attorney General Pam Bondi is saying. President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. Do we have any clarity, Kaylin, as to where this is headed? What could come of this?
Yeah, so it's a great question, because if you go online right now, you're seeing a lot of people, a lot of influencers saying that this is Pam Bondi's move to release more Epstein files, which in effect, if you're reading the tweet as it stands, it looks like she's moving to release more files. But the question that really should pop out to everyone is, what exactly can they do to compel a court to do this? As we saw from Trump's post, he gave a lot of deference to the courts if they're willing and able to release some of these grand jury transcripts, or testimony, as he put it. So the real question is, we haven't seen the DOJ yet make a filing or a move to release some of these grand jury filings. It's not even clear. They didn't specify what case this is, although the assumption is that it's the closed criminal case for Jeffrey Epstein, closed after his death, as it was never able to go to a trial. So we're assuming that it's coming from something related to that case. But the real thing that is perplexing is that this is something that the DOJ could have done a long time ago if it wanted to. They could have already begun this process. So it's almost giving off the impression that this is something that they're just now deciding to do, even after they released the memo and made it seem like that they were done releasing information for now. So it's quite perplexing from that standpoint, because you would wonder why they didn't do this before. And again, just because the Attorney General is saying that she's going to follow Trump's lead in order to do this, doesn't necessarily mean that tomorrow we're going to be getting unsealed filings. Though I will say,
Bro, Trump is painting into a corner big time, man. When you're dealing with a base, you're dealing with a group of people, a large group of people who believe in conspiracies, that's it. They want to believe in conspiracies. And the way Trump is moving now, it looks like he's trying to hide something. If you are a conspiracy-based person, like that's how you think. If you're not sitting there just looking at the evidence available and trying to think your way through it, if you're just looking for the conspiracy, which is the vast majority of MAGA, Alex Jones, some people with PBD podcast, you got people over there on the 5 and all the Fox folks. There's just tons of them out there. And especially with this case, I mean, think about it. The MAGA folks are the people who took their weapons to New York to pizzerias looking for the basement so they can free little children who are being held against their will. Like these are the people we dealing with here. Like, bro, this is a problem. And what I'm noticing when I'm out in these YouTube trenches just watching stuff, the MAGA people aren't hitting the chats going crazy, screaming Trump this, Trump that, and going crazy and trying to, they're not even doing that anymore. They're listening. They're there, they're watching, they're listening. So this is a problem, a huge problem for Trump.
hey, it does come as, people have been saying, from our reporting last week, we got Alan Dershowitz to say that this was not a DOJ problem, that it was a judge problem. So it seems like there's a little bit of a bend toward that narrative, at least coming from the White House.
Caitlin, this is what the VP is saying. He says, "Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter BS. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing it. Where is this letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Does anyone honestly believe this sounds like Donald Trump?" I believe it continues. Yes. Doesn't it violate some rule of journalistic ethics to publish a letter like this without showing it to the victim of this hit piece? Well, the people who have bought into every hoax against President Trump show an ounce of skepticism before buying into this bizarre story. So we're getting reaction from President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, and VP Vance tonight.
Vance would be the first one to turn on Trump. Vance is just playing this role, bro. Like, this is just like out of Game of Thrones or something. Like, you get Trump is surrounded by people, yes men who, whatever, they're not competent, but mixed in with those folks or folks who are just waiting for an opportunity to plunge the knife in his back. I mean, it is what it is. And he's not wise enough or savvy enough to see that. So when it finally happens, like this thing with Murdoch, he's probably shocked. Like, he can't believe that Rupert Murdoch is coming after him like that. He can't believe that after he told the man, yo, don't do it, that Murdoch did it anyway. He can't believe it. It's one of those things. It's like, bro, you're losing grip on your power. Like, they're not, bro, they don't care about you. You done made too many missteps, bro. They ain't dealing with you right now, bro. So, and then they made a good point here. It's like, well, like we said earlier, you're supposed to drop all this information and make it completely transparent with what was going on with the Epstein files day one. That's what you said you was going to do. That's what MAGA expected you to do, and you didn't do it. In fact, not only did you not do it, you tried to cover it up. That's a huge issue, for your base and for you if you're Donald Trump.
Been following this story now, as have we. Does it feel like it's actually possible to quench the appetite for more Epstein information that's out there?
Well, if you take a look at what has been said and done with this case, all we know at this point is that there are still sealed filings out there from both civil and criminal cases, and sealed filings in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, which I would argue is going to be a difficult one to pry open, at least while she is still going through her appeals. So we know that there is some information related to this. We also know that there's apparently a vault out there containing thousands of FBI related documents surrounding the Epstein case, and also
a vault out there. There's always a vault out there, or a cache, or a file cabinet somewhere, right? Or a thumb drive with this, full of information, or the smoking gun is out there. This again, I'm not trying to defend Trump. I'm just saying that's conspiracy theorists are always going to have that. That's what they do. And until you prove definitively that that's not the case, you got a problem. And I don't think Trump's going to be able to prove anything. I really don't.
We've heard from court testimony over the years that some of the evidence that was being looked into at Epstein's properties also went missing. So there's a whole sort of cornucopia of possible information that still exists out there. What we would maybe find from these transcripts, as they're being called by the Attorney General, could be another ounce or added layer of transparency. It could maybe include hearsay or some names of people that were allegedly involved in Epstein, whether it was for alleged criminal activity or whether it was just somehow they were in the same room together for some reason. That is the type of information that could be relayed through transcripts, although we can't say there's no way any of us can know. And again, I will stress that there's no way it will be clear that we will actually be able to obtain this information until we see a judge's response. Now, again, I bring back that Dershowitz mentioned because he brought up the fact that there were two judges in New York that had information. He claimed that they were protecting people, essentially. He didn't name these judges, but we do know that there is a couple of cases in New York involving two federal judges that have looked into, that have, handled the Epstein cases. So that is something that perhaps, at least like I said before, the criminal case involving Epstein could be the target. Seems likely, especially with him being dead.
We're hearing from Caroline Levitt. She's the press secretary. She says the Wall Street Journal published a hatchet job article with a fake birthday letter that is supposedly from 2003. This is like the Steele dossier that kickstarted the Russia hoax all over again. The Wall Street Journal refused to show us the letter and conceded they don't even have it in their possession when we asked them to verify the alleged document they're basing their entire fake story on. When has President Trump ever spoken like the conversation alleged in the fake Wall Street Journal story? That's not at all how he speaks or writes. The Wall Street Journal knowingly published false information to smear the President of the United States. As I said at the podium today, there is a coordinated hoax by the Democrats and fake news to smear President Trump, and we've seen throughout both of his terms. President Trump mentioned this in.
You know, the question is, how is Fox News going to handle all this, bro? Like, what narrative are they going to go with? I'm telling you, bro, this could be a real problem for Trump. And I mean, at the very minimum, at the very least, bro, he can't even focus on America's business. Not that he really was focused on America's business in the beginning. You know, I mean, brother Dino was saying that, you know, Trump is always going to be a lame duck after the midterms. He looks to be getting Lord Trump ready to take over as governor of Florida, you know, for DeSantis. Republicans aren't that popular down here right now, bro. I mean, it's gonna get to a point. Oh, then and brother Dino continued. Maybe Donald Jr. will try to take over from that. So if they don't get a handle on this with the conspiracy theorists and Trump and his administration appearing to cover up the Epstein stuff and not being transparent, Trump may become toxic to all politicians, and they're gonna all run. They're gonna all run down here in Florida. It's gonna be hard for a Republican to win down here in Florida. It's gonna take a real squared away Republican. A MAGA person ain't gonna be able to do it. I don't think. We got the insurance issues down here. The economy is tanking down here. Home prices are going down. Inventory is up. You know, the condo market is in shambles. You know, and then DeSantis, his people got this. You know, between him and his wife, there's this thing with some funny money going back between the two camps, right? The alligator Alcatraz thing. There's a lot of problems down here politically for MAGA. So I don't know about that. Like sending Laura Trump down here. I don't know. Anything's possible, but I don't know. And voter turnout in this midterm election is going to be low anyway. You know, like the midterm elections are always low voter turnout, and I think it's going to be even lower than normal because, well, at least on the Republican side, the MAGA side, because people are going to be so disenfranchised with what's going on right now. So, this is crazy. This is crazy. You know, Brother Dino's like, you know how newspapers work. They don't release the biggest story first. They slowly release, hoping for coverage in the news, and then the big reveal. I even heard this week Trump puts his hands on one. Hey, man. Hey, you're right. They kind of put the feelers out there. And Murdoch, man, he don't care. But it just, even if all this stuff is fake and it didn't happen, it's not Trump. Even if that's true, the conspiracy people, man, they ain't going to let go. They're not going to let go. It's going to be really hard to calm the mob at this point. It's going to be really hard to do it. And, you know, Trump really needs to be happy that the Democrats are in shambles and have no real leadership. Or otherwise, he'd be in real trouble. There's no pressure. There's going to be no pressure coming from the Democrats. No real pressure at all. No, there's not going to be any coordinated effort through all this. They're just going to be sitting around doing stupid shit like they always do because they have no leadership. And, you know what I mean? They're just like a lame party. So at least Trump doesn't have to worry about them. I mean, there'll be people like Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and some others who are going to, and, you know, Gavin Newsom's going to pick up on this, and they're going to be making shots on their own, but, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be a coordinated attack from the left. He ain't got to worry about that. You know, you just have like the far left stuff and, the podcasters on the far left saying what they're going to say, you know what I mean, and showing what they're going to show, but it's not, I don't think it's going to have any real teeth, so he ain't got to worry about that. But, bro, this is going to be a problem. We'll see if this thing, I mean, we've been talking about this Epstein stuff for like a week now. So if this story grabs some traction and then everyone starts looking to verify these allegations, I think, Brother Dino, I think you're right. You know what I'm saying? Like that we'll get to see the real stuff come out here later. You know, it's like, and Brother Dino was like, do I think DeSantis is MAGA? Yeah, he is. He is. His people are for sure. Right? He wants, he wants Trump's blessing. He's not GOP. He's not establishment politician. Like DeSantis is definitely MAGA in my opinion. MAGA will preach about fixing Florida's problems after DeSantis leaves the office. Like Florida got some real problems, bro. Like it is really bad down here. There's the good side to that is there's plenty of room for upward mobility, right? It's you can't get any worse than really where it is right now. And we know we have it's going to be a nasty hurricane season, so we know it's going to be some more problems on top of everything else. I mean, there are people out here getting assessments on their condos for upwards of $100,000 that has to be paid like immediately. Oh, we'll give you 90 days to pay that. You have people down here on fixed incomes. They're losing their condos, right? And these buildings are being bought up by mega corporations, and they'll knock the condos down and build up, these skyscrapers or whatever, just making money. But in the process, they're just destroying some of the most vulnerable Americans there are. Old folks who are retired on fixed incomes, just trying to live out their golden years here in Florida. So it's a problem. The insurance industry down here has gotten so bad that people are foregoing insurance on the properties that they own, and they're just self-insuring, which is crazy. So, bro, yeah, DeSantis is, people are happy for him to leave. There was a couple good things that, that DeSantis and the Republicans did, but it was a lot of bad things that they did. Just a lot of bad press, a lot of just, and they say there's no such thing as bad press, but yeah, a lot of missteps. And I think the Republicans will be happy to see DeSantis go. I think the Republicans are going to back. The Republicans slant MAGA are going to back that Byron Donald dude, the black dude out of I think down around Fort Myers or something like that. I think he's going to run for governor. I think he's going to get some financial backing. And then we'll see who the Democrats decide to back. And like I said, I don't know who's going to win, but if you get a competent Democrat to run for governor here in Florida that's well-spoken and has some sort of plan, they have a good shot. I'm hoping for someone that no one knows, just someone who comes from out of nowhere, like that guy in New York, in the New York City mayoral race. I'm hoping for someone like that knows how to talk to folks, puts together a good campaign, can come in here and give Democrats a chance. But it's not like they're going to be the saviors. It's not like the Democrats are going to come down here and do things that are drastically different, but they will come down and they will back programs to help veterans, to help seniors stay in their homes, to try to figure out a way to take the power away from the insurance companies and actually give people coverage and get proper coverage for the damage sustained in these storms. That's all they need to do. Just come in and do that. Forget about alligator Alcatraz. Forget about flying migrants all over the country. Remember, DeSantis used money to do that, flying migrants all over the place. Forget about all that. Take that money and put it to use and actually try to help, Floridians. I think that's what's going to happen. Talk about DeSantis getting rid of Florida property tax. It's talked about that too, but you need that tax money because, infrastructure is getting bad down here. Like there's been a couple times since I've been living here, the power would just go out for no reason. Some of it was sabotaged by, Americans, blowing up, like trying to blow up or disrupt the power. But, some of it is just old infrastructure, bro. So there's a lot, man. There's a lot that has to happen down here. It's crazy. So that's going to be a good race to watch. Like who's going to win the Florida governor race down here? This cycle. That's going to be a good race to watch.
His True Social post, Kalen, he said that he's already won lawsuits against ABC and CBS. Catch us up on those cases, and are there any parallels perhaps to draw between those cases and what we may see with an upcoming case? Is it too soon to make those comparisons?
Well, I think with every type of defamation lawsuit that gets filed, it's important not to compare apples to apples. Just because Trump has won some of them in the case of George Stephanopoulos, at least, there was that reference to the E. John Carroll case where a jury found him liable for sexual assault, whereas when George Stephanopoulos was speaking about it, he used the term rape. So I think that that is something that he got the facts wrong completely, and it was something that he had to ultimately pay the price for. At least court found that to be the case. So I think that when you're looking at, especially when you're talking about letters, and the fact that there was, the administration is upset with the fact that there wasn't anything shared with the person that this piece was about, the president. I think that there's definitely that animosity, that vitriol, and some of that, winning spirit that Trump might feel, that he thinks that he can, get another scalp against the media company with a potential lawsuit like this. Again, we haven't seen the lawsuit filed yet, but we're assuming that it's coming. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. Maybe there will be additional information by the authors of these pieces to clarify more. But definitely, you're seeing an emboldened Trump here, especially after the victories like you referenced.
Before we go, here's the big question that I know a lot of people at home have. President Trump is saying that Bondi is seeking to release grand jury testimony from the Epstein case. Does that fall short of most critics' demands to release all of the files, plain and simple?
Oh, totally. I mean, just to release the transcripts, testimony, things like that. I mean, that is just, I would say, the skim off the top of the milk. I mean, you can't really say that you're going to satisfy people if you're only going after a fraction of what still remains out there. And when people say, you hear this phrase often, release everything, release all the files, that does not sort of cut it. So it definitely shows that because the story hasn't been able to go away, the administration is beginning to take hints from the base, especially his base, because this is, one of the issues that a lot of people, a lot of political commentators said, was a complete 180. And I think that there was a moment where Trump felt like he could just dismiss this. He's still dismissing it. He's while he's saying we're going to do this, he's still calling it a hoax. He's still saying that people are weak to be wrapped up and care about this. So he's playing sort of both chords right now on that issue. And I think that he thinks that perhaps if he does this, he can get people to sort of pipe down a little bit more. But to the point, to his gripes about this, I think that there's just some information. You can talk to former prosecutors about this. You can talk to former FBI about this. There's just some files from the FBI that they do not have to listen to the public on. They don't have to just respond to demands from the public to release something just because there's a high interest in it. And so that's going to be something that's ultimately going to be very dissatisfying, I think, because while there's this effort that we're seeing underway right now, it remains to be seen if there's going to be anything satisfying in there. I mean, who knows? There could be some information inside these transcripts that doesn't necessarily look good for Trump because maybe it says something or takes something out of context, or maybe not even Trump, but somebody else, high profile. And so that could be sort of the spring trap in all of this, is if there's even one mention of a high profile name or politician or, a banker or celebrity, things like that, it's going to spark an uproar because everyone's going to just be finger pointing at that. But it likely won't have all the context that people need, and especially won't have the context to bring an indictment, because we would have already seen one by now if that information was anything to present, culpable evidence or things like that.
Galen Deese is with the Washington Examiner. We appreciate the insight. It'll be fascinating to see how tomorrow plays out. We'll talk with you.
That's what Fox is talking about. We have to wait till later to see the big talking heads on Fox to see what Laura Ingram's going to say about this, and Sean Hannity and all the rest of them. And bro, it is not hard to fool Americans, man. Unfortunately, man, we're not the smartest lot. It is what it is. People see something on TV or they see it on the internet, and they just automatically believe it's real and factual. They don't. Like now, every time you see something, I see something, the first thing I do is start fact checking. But most Americans don't do that. They just run with it, especially if it's something that they want to hear. You know what I mean? Especially if it's something they want to hear. Brother Carlos is in the building. What's good, fam? You know what I mean? Brother Carlos is saying the grand jury transcripts will only demonstrate probable cause to indict Epstein. No one else was subject of the indictment at the time, so any evidence of conspirators would not have been present. Right. Bro, I'm telling you, you got to watch The Flagrant with Sager. Let me see if I can find it. You have to watch that. Um, it's bro, like it's crazy. It's the stuff that he was breaking down. Give me a second. I'm just trying to, I can't type and talk at the same time. This right here, I'll pull it up. I'll pull this up, and I'll just play this part right here when it talks about. Well, there was a part in here was talking about Trump. Um, I think it was doing this part here. I'll pull this up, guys, so you can have a look at it. You know, the Epstein spider web, bro, reaches far and wide, and I'm telling you, there's other people involved that are just sitting back and it's like, hopefully my name won't come up, and hopefully there's no evidence, they don't have the evidence or whatever. I mean, I really don't think that Trump is involved with what Epstein was doing, especially that the horrible stuff he was doing to the young girls. But it's to the point was like, man, you got to prove it now. Like, dude, why are you, what I'm saying, stifling the Epstein investigation? Why aren't you being transparent? Now you really got to be transparent. And like the dude on Fox just said, like, yeah, he's saying he's going to be transparent, but at the same time, he's still trying to shoot it down as if he doesn't want to do it. So, he's going to drag his feet, not really present the real. But this thing, I'm about to show you guys from Flagrant. I'm definitely going to do a 2, maybe 3-part to break it down. I'm only halfway through it, but we'll listen to a little bit of this. And if actually what we'll do is we'll listen to the part about the sweetheart, the 2005 conviction and return to Israel. We'll listen to that part. This is where allegedly Epstein, well, not allegedly, it's documented. Epstein left America, went to Israel, while his legal team in America was negotiating a sweetheart deal on, the crimes that he committed. So we'll listen to what they have to say here, but it just shows how the rules work for the 1%, and it just shows how many people knew what was going on. Let's listen to this little bit right here. Shout out.
2005 is the first time that we really know about of a prolonged investigation into Epstein, and eventually culminates in the sweetheart deal of 2008. So in 2005, a 14-year-old girl who was lured by Epstein, Maxwell Associates, and all these people, her father complains to the Palm Beach Police Department about being sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein. This leads to an undercover investigation by Palm Beach PD, where they launch this investigation where they're able to connect multiple underage girls who are being lured by Epstein and Maxwell and other associates to the compound in a well-oiled system. There's a documentary on Netflix. This is the part they actually did quite well of just showing the way that all worked. Search warrant finds hidden cameras, sex toys, basically proof of underage communications with Epstein. They have him nailed dead to rights, probably 20 years or whatever under state law. However, Epstein hires all of these extremely filthy rich lawyers who are able to go to the Palm Beach Police Department. They claim that they were poking holes in their case. Palm Beach PD basically throws up their hands and they're like, look, I can't handle this shit. They're like, this is a level of, this is a machine I'm going up against that I don't know how to combat this machine. They only have a bulletproof charge on him of solicitation of prostitution, but they go to the feds. Now, the feds, of course, have the vast resources of the federal government, the Department of Justice. The person who's in charge at that time is a guy named Alex Acosta. Alex Acosta, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern Florida. Now, U.S. Attorney for Florida, this comes under his purview. This investigation is launched under him using FBI resources. They are able to develop a large case against Jeffrey Epstein. The operation is called Operation Leap Year that is launched by them. Leap Year uncovers evidence that Epstein has an interstate sex trafficking operation involving girls as young as 13 years old.
Jeez.
Now, this is a very important point. We have a secret federal indictment that was issued against Jeffrey Epstein, where they lay out all of this evidence for a sweeping indictment, which would have put him behind bars probably for the rest of his life. This is where everything starts to happen. This is where the sweetheart deal comes into play. And it's at this point, after this secret federal indictment, that they come to the Epstein team and they're like, this is what we have on you. Let's begin a negotiation, because they're looking for a plea deal ultimately.
Why are they looking for a plea?
Well, I think it's I think it's kind of customary where you bring, when the feds investigate you, they have to send you a target letter. They're like, hey, you're under federal investigation. You need to hire counsel, just so we can get this whole ball rolling. I mean, something like 95% of people charged by the federal system plead guilty. So it's quite common. Most people don't go to trial. The feds don't want you to go to trial. If they do, they're going to smack you. They'll hit you with charge after charge, or you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. The vast, vast majority of people in federal prison.
And that's why they have the 95%.
And he ain't lying about that. And Sochi is right. That is why they have that high conviction rate, because people don't want to fight the feds. It's almost impossible. But you look at someone like Sean Combs. Like, Sean Combs beat the feds. He beat them on the most serious charges, right? And so, we're going to see how it plays out with Sean Combs. But normally when you're under investigation by the feds like that, bro, they watching you. They let you know they watching you. They send you a letter like, bro, you're under investigation. And, dude, it's hard to move without them knowing where you at.
Conviction
that's why they have their conviction rate. Exactly.
Got it.
That's how they get to it, and there's a variety of systemic issues. So it was all generally par for the course up until this point. That's when Epstein hires Alan Dershowitz. That's when he hires all these Bush-connected officials.
Why
all
is
of these
Dershowitz
others.
Bush connected?
Well, no, not Dershowitz. There are other lawyers on the team who are connected to George W. Bush, the administration, to Republican politics in general, because George W. Bush is the president at this time. And it's at this time that you have the sweetheart non-prosecution agreement that is agreed upon by Alex Acosta and the Epstein legal defense team. Now, at this time, too, this is a very important point. Joey, can you please put up my tweet? Epstein flees to Israel while he negotiates his deal with Acosta. So if you go to the first slide there, please.
And this part right here, man, when the feds are watching you, right, and I know this just from my experience anecdotally in the hood, dealing with dudes who were, what we call the big boys, the plugs, when they deal with the feds. When the feds are investigating you, bro, you ain't just getting on a plane and getting up out of here. Not commercial, right? You're not going to, take your private jet and go somewhere. If you don't believe me, you don't take my word for it, go ask Sean Combs. Y'all remember when he was going to his plane so we can go wherever he was going to go, somewhere out of the country, and the feds were at the airport? Hey, man, we see your plane is going somewhere. Who on the plane? Where's the manifest? Oh, Puffy, you know what I mean? They're watching you. They know you got resources. They haven't charged you yet. You haven't been indicted yet, right? So you're not under arrest. You haven't gone before a judge and, at your arraignment, the judge take your passport. That hasn't happened yet, but they're going to watch you. Now, you have to be so far ahead of it to get away from it. Like, if the feds might be coming for you and you just leave and go to some country that doesn't have extradition, you know what I mean? Kind of like what Russell Simmons did, right? That's the only way you can do it. But once they send you that letter saying we investigating you, bro, they ain't letting you slip up out of here. You're going to have to do some cloak and dagger type stuff. So it's for Epstein to be able to get out of the country and go someplace like Israel says a lot. Like, how did he do that?
Yes, this is from a Vicky Ward story. Talk that Epstein had moved himself and his assets to Israel had reached the ears of such luminaries as Harvey Weinstein, Jeff Bukes, Alex Gibney, Taylor Hackford, Dustin Hoffman, Alec Baldwin, and filmmaker Michael Mailer. Has anyone told Vicky Ward? I heard someone say. Fame. Ever since I wrote this article about Epstein in the March 2003 story, I've had dubious honor of being considered the New York expert on the case. Well, I've never been one to leave a riddle unsolved, so I called Epstein's office to ask. Around lunchtime, he phoned me laughing, assuming he'd been in Israel, but assuring me he'd been in Israel, but was now back in New York. And he says, would you want to live in Israel? As he denigrates that. So he goes to Israel while this sweetheart deal is being negotiated. This is very important, okay? again, very important, is that he was safe in Israel for reasons that remain unknown to us to this day.
And you generally can't leave the country if you're under
and
investigation.
actually, yeah, Joey, can you go to the
That's
next
not a
slide
thing
there?
the government
so
will
when
allow,
he
right?
returns, when he returns to America, as you can see right there, April 2008, Epstein returns from Israel before pleading guilty. Some question why he was allowed to even keep his passport while his team is undergoing negotiation with the federal government.
Can you explain how normal that is?
That is not normal.
Yeah.
So that is extremely not
If you
normal.
have money like that,
Yeah.
you're a flight risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so while you're being federally investigated, they will take your
your
passport
passport, yeah.
because you're a flight. It's very similar to what happened, I think.
It's not that they'll take your passport, right? It's like what Brother Carlos is saying, man. EAPIS, the system will flag you. Like you're on the no-fly list, right? And the feds are watching you. You know, I know people who was like, man, I don't know if I'm paranoid or something, but I just think I'm being followed. It's like, bro, you are being followed. Remember that letter the government sent you? The feds is watching you, man. Ask your lawyer. They're watching. They're probably watching this right now. You know what I mean? Dude, your phones are tapped, bro. Like they're listening to you right now. I hope you haven't been talking. Right? Stay off the phone.
At least in the beginning of the Diddy trial, remember there was the words like Diddy was going to flee, and I think that they told him that he had to stay in America, right?
So I don't have so to be clear, I don't think it's while investigation. There are other, I'm not a lawyer, but the way I'd read about it is it was very uncommon at that time, especially after he agreed to plead guilty. Because remember, he agrees to plead guilty under a non-prosecution agreement in September 2007. This is April 2008. During this period, he is in Israel, where he's...
Bro, that little tidbit right there is massive. He's in the process of negotiating this deal, a sweetheart deal, by the way. He's about to get away with all sorts of stuff, bro. Just short of 187. He's getting away with, wow. He's already agreed to plead guilty. Right? I'm telling you, bro. They're not letting you slide onto an airplane like you. We already know you about to plead guilty. Now, you could back out negotiations at any point. Why would they let him go to Israel? Once you get to Israel, you someone like Epstein, man, you ain't getting out. They gonna keep you. They gonna let you stay. So why would they let you go? This is the problem that all the politicians and the 1%ers have, because they know what the deal was. Like they know he slid up out of here. They know who okayed this, that, and whatever. This is the problem. Now, do I think Trump has anything to do with any of this? No, I don't think so. Absolutely not. He wasn't a player back then at that level. But is he covering it up? That's the question. He could be.
Effectively, he's going to plead guilty.
2007 or 2008?
So 2007 to 2008 is while he is in Israel. Again, basically, the theory was, the open talk in New York society that Vicky Ward heard, is that Epstein had moved himself and all his assets to Israel. This is apparently, by the way, a common thing, relatively common, for pedophiles who are Jewish in the United States who actually have fled to Israel to escape prosecution.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, Joey, can you go down? Glenn Greenwald?
That is a bad look for Israel, dude.
How Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel.
Why do they accept it?
Well, Israel has the right to return for every Jew in the world. It's called Aliyah.
So they're taking
any
advantage
Jewish
of.
Yeah, this is YouTube is gonna be all over this video, guys. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be yellow or red. I might not be able to monetize this one, but this information is good. You guys need to check it out. I'm gonna let this play just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to later on in the week, bro. I'm going to do just play this whole. It's 2 hours. It's a 3-hour video. So we're gonna do. We're gonna react to the whole thing. It's gonna take at least probably 3 or 4 episodes to do it, but we're gonna break it down because it's so interesting, man. The Sager does great work. Shout out to him. You know what I mean? Don DeMarco for Sager, man. I had no idea how good he was as a journalist. So let's listen to this last little bit. Like, you see the headline there. Like, this is, a haven for these dudes who, commit these heinous things with kids. And because of their heritage, they can go to that, they can go to Israel and, you know what I mean? It's like, you can't get them, can't touch them.
like a
Yeah, but some of them are taking advantage and basically being able to go to Israel. It's complicated as well in terms of extradition agreements, etc. But Glenn Greenwald flagged that piece to me: how Jewish American pedophiles hide.
But
from justice
sorry,
in Israel.
just to try to understand this, is that something that the United States just allows for anybody?
Again, I actually don't
Because
know.
I know
I only learned of it yesterday. I didn't realize that it wasn't just Epstein. That there's this is actually like a common enough phenomenon that people have written a story about it before. Inside of his house in New York City, so it's possible that he even.
What do you mean?
Yes, yeah. Can you Google it, please, Joey? Epstein passports that were found at his New York City residence. This is an open and acknowledged fact, and I'll come back to this because it's part of the intelligence case. Who the fuck has false passports? It's not exactly a easy thing for multiple passports and travels to Africa and to the Middle East, and they were found in his residence in his New York City.
Guys, the
house.
Jason Bourne of kid fuckers.
Yeah, I never understood false passports because everything's connected to the
that's
internet.
right.
It's
Right,
like
which means that there's no really such thing as a false passport,
Yeah.
and there's a passport that's issued to you under false pretenses by foreign governments. So let's just
or by your own government.
or possibly by your own government.
Like
I didn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In the
Wow.
age of the barcode, there's no false passport. Okay. All right. And
Wow.
when's the last time you guys flew into America? You know how much biometric data and all that stuff is there?
it's
Like,
like-
this is not happening.
But like CIA can issue
Yeah, well,
passports.
CIA can issue a passport under that will clear State Department. I mean, look, even
which
if
would
you,
confirm the connections to intelligence. So
look,
So that's pretty cool. We're going to break it down, man. Like when you're looking at that shot right there, to the left side of the screen as we're looking at it, those two dudes over there can have this conversation. They're smart guys. You notice they're not saying much. They're listening. And then when they do contribute, when they do say something, it's pretty savvy stuff. Now to the right of the screen with, Akash and Schultz, they do talk a lot. They ask a lot of questions. To me, it's like, bro, are you serious? Like, why are you asking this question right now? Let him continue with his story, his information, and it's that's my biggest complaint about Flagrant. It's hard for Flagrant to cover something serious like this because Schultz is not serious. And then, I'm gonna talk about it more when we break it down. And I'm not trying to, shit on the brother, but it's just like, man, shut up and let's listen to this. Stop talking, Schultz. Stop talking, Akash. You know what I mean? The other two brothers. Yeah, you guys have appropriate questions at the appropriate time. That makes sense. You contributing, you know what I mean? That's good. But anyway, we'll break that down. We'll get into it later on in the week. Maybe we'll do the first one this weekend. I might be able to do it. I just work late, man. I'm just normally I don't get into like after midnight, but maybe during the day. We'll figure it out. Maybe, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday, definitely like by Monday or Wednesday, we'll get the first one done. The full Epstein evidence, the full evidence Epstein was a spy was saga at injecting. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. This is a great video. This is a great video. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. I'll put the link in the chat right here. I will put the link in the description as well when this is over. Make sure you guys check it out. I'm about halfway through it, and I'm driving around running errands listening to this. It's like it's blowing my mind because when you think about it, it's like Epstein could not have done the things that he was doing without help from government, not like help from some person here or some person there. He couldn't do what he was doing without help from government, not just our like governments, the Israeli government, the American government, some other countries as well. He couldn't have done what he did without help like that at that level. So we're gonna definitely talk about it. And again, it all ties to Trump because Trump's the president of the United States right now, and people are like, why aren't we seeing this stuff? Why aren't we having a discussion to talk about everything this guy had done? You know what I mean? Going all the way back to the beginning up to now. That's what the Trump administration promised. That's what Donald Trump was supposed to deliver. He didn't deliver it. And in fact, it seems like he's covering it up. And the question becomes why? And then that's when the tinfoil hat gang comes along and, you know what I mean? Like their hamster wheel in their mind starts going crazy. And it makes Trump just looks like he is covering up. It's like, is he involved or his friends or close people involved? Like, what's going on? MAGA's not happy. And then you get hit with Rupert Murdoch in this story about this letter. And is it true? Is it not true? Trump's like, I'm going to sue you. Doesn't matter. Is there more to come? Absolutely. we're just gonna have to keep watching this, guys. This is probably the best TV show, you know what I mean, on the internet right now. This is crazy, and it's real life. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is doing what the rest of the world is doing, right? You know, Israel is bombing Syria, ready to bomb Iran some more. Russia and Ukraine still going at it. China waiting in the wings, still looking at Taiwan like, you know what I mean? That looks real tempting over there. And the American economy seems to be in turmoil with the tariffs really starting to hit us now, the effects from the tariffs, and we're looking at inflation creeping up. And Trump, you know, using Truth Social to say that I signed an executive order to drop interest rates down to 0. I'm going to have to read up on that. I don't know if he said he's going to do it. He did do it. He's thinking about doing it. I just don't know, right? And then Trump getting big on all these countries, you know, threatening tariffs again, and it's back to the whole taco thing. So there's a lot going on, guys. There's a lot going on over here in the good old U.S. of A., man. I tell you what. I'll do my best to keep up with it. Brother Carlos, man, appreciate you, man. Brother Dino, appreciate you, man. And whoever's out here watching on Team Replay, it is what it is. I love to hear what you have to think about this, man. Do you think is Trump trying to hide something? You think Trump is tied up somehow in this Epstein thing? Or do you think Trump is maybe just trying to protect someone, trying to cover this thing up because he doesn't want some folks that are close to him to get in trouble? Or is it Trump's telling the truth and there was nothing there? There really wasn't any there, and they're not covering up anything. It's just he ran on his campaign promise to do this Epstein stuff, and he got in office and was like, oh, there's nothing really here, nothing to see, so let's just move on to something else. Could it be that? Who knows? I don't know. Like, I have no idea. So, was a Russian asset and the family connections to Russia. So, he even got a scientific visa into Africa and had no right to, or America had no right to. It's deep, deep. I didn't know that either. All this sort of stuff is coming out, man. And again, this is the kind of stuff that just keeps conspiracy theorists going. The conspiracies just keep going. And I mean, at this point, I don't think he can really stop it. He's gonna, he's gonna whittle down his base to the hardcore fanatic Trump supporters, whatever that number is. It might be anywhere between 7 to 8%. And then that's it. I think the rest of them might go. They might leave. They might be disenfranchised. There's already videos of people burning their Trump hats. Is that true? I don't know. But I keep telling you, down here in Florida, it's Trump land. Hard pressed to see a MAGA hat. Hard pressed to see a Trump bumper sticker. Hard pressed to see a T-shirt. Right in the summertime, I ain't seeing many. It is what it is. Just the point. Been pointing that out for a while now. So, all right, I gotta go. I got to head to the studio. We're shooting an episode of Spoken in Smoke. That's the podcast with Will Ghostin that I co-host and produce along with my buddy Izzy. So we're gonna go in and take care of some work. So I gotta go, guys. Appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for rocking out with me. And like I said, I will definitely continue to talk about this. Have a good day. Have a good weekend, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.